Way to start your day.
The Kisumu East MP is the Honorable Shakil Shabir Ahmed. He's here with us this morning. It's been a while, but he's here all the same. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Everybody. I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah?
Long time, but you're back.
Very long time. It's good to see you. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Odoyo Owidi. Double O is a political and policy analyst, and he joins us also in the room. Good morning.
Morning to you.
How are you doing?
It's long since I was here. I guess even the table is a bit different.
The table is different. The tables do turn every now and then.
Okay.
But good to have you both here. We're going to be looking into... It's interesting because EVE has decided it is a bitter orange. And if it is a bitter orange, we're looking at what the broad-based government is actually like. True. And we'd like to have real conversations in this room about what is really happening. And so it's good that both of you can be here. As you know, we go around the African continent every week, and we land in a particular country, and we glean their proverbs for them to be able to speak to us in one way or another. This week, we're in Guinea. And we'd love to be able to get your interpretation of this proverb from this country that was colonized by the French. French still remains their national language, but they still do have many more. Surrounded by, interestingly enough, the colonies of former slaves, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and then looking at Mali in the north, Senegal on the other side. But they've carved their own. And this is their proverb today. Knowledge is like a garden. If it is not cultivated, it cannot be harvested. Knowledge is like a garden. If it is not cultivated, it cannot be harvested. Double O, we can start with you.
I believe they intend to say, if you know and do nothing with it, it will disappear. You must keep using your knowledge to keep it. The things I learned long time ago and I no longer use have since dissipated from my head. Yeah.
Okay. Mishimo.
Absolutely. The knowledge is like a garden. You have to continuously water it. You have to continuously look after it. You have to continuously remove the old bed and put new flowers in it or whatever else. So the idea of the brain is the same matter. If you do not feed the brain with ideas and thoughts that you can perhaps develop the brain. So and the person.
Right.
And the person.
And the person.
So you take care of yourself. If I come in here, I'm like a garden. I've not got my tie on right. I've not washed my clothes. I've not done this. That's it. You know.
Interesting, for sure. Thanks for sharing those opinions and those interpretations.
But if you want to take it otherwise, in politics it's the same thing.
Oh, come on. Of course. Not taking away from the importance that politics plays, of course, and that's why we need to talk about this. That there seems to be a really spirited effort to convince everybody, and maybe those within the party, that ODM is together and that it is strong. Is it important? It absolutely is, because it is one of the biggest parties. And we know that parties form and shape the politics of the country, at least in the Kenyan model, they do. Over the weekend, Winnie Odinga seemed to have stirred up things and maybe put a bee in the bonnet of folks who thought that things would just be business as usual. But she essentially asked that the party goes back to the people and make a request of them as to who should lead the conversation on this broad-based arrangement. So let's take a few steps back and we start with you. Odoyo, what do you think about ODM in the broad-based government, and is it necessary for them to still be relevant in it?
First we must agree and accept that ODM was Raila Odinga and Raila Odinga was ODM. And if you listen to majority of the commentators on issues ODM, they keep on referring to Raila Odinga said this, Raila Odinga wanted this, and so on. So question number one I would be asking, why did Raila Odinga himself ask the people, go to the people to seek their opinion on this very broad-based arrangement. He did not do that. ODM is a consensus party. A consensus party is the party that always does everything through consensus rather than internal elections. You know, one of the things many people have complained about in the past, including myself, was that ODM does not go to elections, internal elections, the ones that they largely call nominations. When they need candidates for various seats, they pick them out in what they themselves call consensus. When they pick out members of parliament in parliamentary committees and leadership, they use consensus. When they pick out people who go to represent the party in Iala, they use consensus. Raila Odinga himself was elected by the community through a community consensus that nobody dares challenge. So ODM is a party of consensus, and anybody who wants to change it when Raila is no more may not succeed very much. In any case, at this point in time, the glue that held ODM together is no longer there. You notice that while we were in Mombasa, it was very difficult to find one of those leaders who could pull people in the back room to tell them this is our common narrative here. No. Everybody who came back from there came back suffering from what is called Tower of Babel phenomenon, speaking his own language, demanding his own things. And you realize that when they were speaking, everybody was just supporting his own opinion and cause, what he wants to do. And I dare say here that some of those people who are vehemently opposing the position that ODM is in now are people who had left the party by their heart. What they are doing today is waiting for an opportune moment to say, we left because of this and that. They have left, but they are looking for a reason. And such persons are Edwin Sifuna. Sifuna left ODM even when Raila was still alive. You know, people have argued that how come Raila kept on defending Sifuna? They should also ask themselves, how come Raila was once defending Ababu Namwamba so much until the moment he was being relieved of his, he did not know that Raila was no longer with him. There was even one man called Margaret Langat. Even on the morning he was being frog-marched from office, he did not know. He was sitting there pretty. Raila would not let you know that you are going to go. Just the same way, I would not advise you to let your house help know she's going to be fired. No. Somebody in your kitchen, somebody in your driver's seat should not know you are going to fire him. That is how things work.
Are you saying that Secretary General Edwin Sifuna would have been on his way out and not of his own free will?
Yes.
Why?
Because he was opposing the position that Raila had adopted. Even Raila was now caged because there are some people in his camp who are talking about they don't want to be in broad-based, and those ones who are talking they should be. And that was the cage he was finding himself in. And then he chose to be vague. Because in any case, serious politics abhors clarity. You don't have to be very clear. Even in religion sometimes, the religious leaders are not clear. Even Jesus, most of the time, were answering questions.
In parables.
So that you begin thinking by yourself. So where we find ourselves in, even when Winnie talk also, you also need something about her speech. People saw that she was talking to Oburu. But from where I said she was talking to Gladys Wanga, most of the context of her speech was not applicable to Oburu. And you also notice that there are two top officers, the party leader and the party chair, who were actually recently appointed to act. And I think what Winnie really wanted was that get an opportunity to remove Gladys Wanga. Because you also know Oburu, at his age now, he's not carrying the future of that party. But Winnie see herself as carrying the future of that party.
So now
she would not want to fight somebody who is not playing in her league. She would want to fight somebody playing in her league.
So now I know that the ambiguity that you rightly so highlight, where does it now leave the party? Because I agree, ODM, in my opinion, was Baba, and Baba was ODM.
Yeah.
And thus, the party became the embodiment of the spirit of the late Raila Odinga. And may his soul rest in peace. But now, politics have to prevail. these people need a political home, and there seems to be a huge fragmentation. And everybody, as you say, is shooting from the hip and different angles. This ambiguity in the leadership of ODM is also now becoming more personal than issue-based. Like Baba would say, these are party of the people for the people, so we build consensus. That seems to be diluted. Is there a hope for ODM, or is this the end of it? Was this the cake that will last, that they've cut last together? Could it be the end of ODM? Could it be a new beginning of another political formation?
You have noticed that even in families where there is no wealth, nothing to share out, people never fight after the death of a patriarch. Where there is enough wealth to fight for, that is where people fight. The fight in ODM has just begun. Mombasa was the center field where the whistle was blown. Going forward, many people, even people who have no positions in the party or relations. But you also notice that Nyanza has 4 counties.
Yes.
The 2 southern ones don't contain anybody opposing the position of the broad-based. And even Kisumu, I think the problem is largely in Siaya. So that is where the problem is. So I can foresee everybody, and the nice thing about the symbolic nature of orange, it is easy to cut into small pieces.
But it's not just a Nyanza party. It's a party that's a national party, isn't it?
I know what you are talking about. That is de facto, but that is de jure. But de facto, ODM without Nyanza is dead. Because even when you see the people I'm counting, you left a long time ago. It's Sifuna, it's Osotsi, it's Amisi, it's Arati. Those are the people I can tell you left even before Baba went. So even before Baba went, ODM was on its deathbed. And I think one of the arrangements, even though it falls within 20 years, was to pull them together, talk in one voice, sing together, dance together, eat together and share. But ODM was already on its deathbed because you can do certain things for a long time, but reaches a time when a generation comes which simply don't understand why you do things the way you do. So ODM will be split into multiple pieces, each person with a piece of it, just the same way Ford one split into several pieces. It is going to split. That is in no doubt.
Mheshimiwa Shabil, looking at the slicing of the ODM and now the several pieces that will prevail, we are yet to see how that plays out. For a long time, it has been opined that if you're coming from the Luo Nyanza region and you're not running on an ODM ticket, chances of you making it to parliament are lesser than slim. Could that be changing come 2027?
Yeah, firstly, it changed some time ago, nearly 10 years ago.
Right.
I'm an example of what you are saying. I was an independent member for the last 2 terms. So that part that you have said is not necessarily true. The Luo nation, Kisumu East and others are rationalizing to find what is the best for them. I am humbled that they have found me to be actively participating or to their satisfaction, and have they voted me twice as independent. Now, Odoyo Owidi, sometimes I sometimes wonder. In the Luo language, there's a word called gongrok.
Gongrok, yes.
Gongrok is a chameleon, which changes colors to fit the situation. I'm not calling it gongrok, my brother. I am just saying that there is one. And in ODM, this is very well spread. Now, what you need to understand is to go back to what ODM was and how did it start. I have been with NDP, LDP, then metamorphosed into NAC and other things. And at the time, when I was at the foundation's dinner, Mumbingaru said she was in charge and she folded up the files. And we said, good. There were many others. I was in the financial controller of LDP. So as we went along and the referendum took place, many of us took the other side and we came up with Orange. Thereafter, there was a rally at Kisumu Stadium. I was very much involved. And the rally was very big. Before we went to the rally, then met at Imperial Hotel, but then we met at the Sikh Union with the president, with the then incoming president, hopefully, at that time, Kibaki. And it was mooted, not by Balala, as I'm told now, which I hear. I'm surprised to hear it from Oburu, Mheshimiwa Oburu. It was mooted from Raila himself when I was there and I heard him. Maybe they discussed it elsewhere, but it was mooted that now it's time to crystallize on what we have, because NAC is a coalition and we need to have our own and metamorphose it into a party. So that's what we did. At that time, Honorable Najib Balala was there, and he insisted that he should be the one. Literally, made a small tantrum, but they said, go ahead. For Raila Odinga, for Mheshimiwa, the late Baba, it was a non-issue. Go ahead. Everybody knows what it's going to be. So this party, and I very much support Winnie, this party is a people's party. It started as a people's party. Institutionalize it. But the party was of the people, like the Communist Party, like Chama in Tanzania. The People's Party were the people, even ANC. The People's Party.
You are not about to say CCM for Tanzania.
I was going to say that. But,
well, it's an original. It's in its original
idea,
days.
The original idea.
Yeah.
But what they have done, what they have suffered, is what ODM is suffering. Thereafter, after Pendecon, everybody bringing their people in, trying to put up structures. The institutionalization took over, or the person took over from the people. Now, you are being selected, you are being appointed by people in the ODM structure to be elected. You are not being selected by the people. It is well known that this is why I even had to leave, that there were brokers in ODM at all levels, and you had to satisfy their desires if you were going to have a chance. And it did not matter whether the people were there. In Kisumu East, and I can speak with a little bit of confidence here, the people of Kisumu East have a great love and loyalty for Raila Odinga. And I must also say that I have a great love and loyalty for Raila Odinga. Not because of anything else. He took me from nowhere, like he did Balala, like he did Junaid, like he did what's her name? Shaban, Shabish, like he did many, many others. Like he did even the former mayor, the current governor of Kwale. He took you from nowhere. And he told you what he wanted, what his vision was. And he put me in the mayor's position. There were 21 members of the council. 4 were for us. The rest were against us, against Raila.
Okay, but
what I'm trying to suggest, I'm coming to that picture. What happened is over time, is that the people no longer are the force of decision making. The people have started to have been put in the background. And so those guys who are in power, so-called, who've been hanging on the coattails, I call them, some of them called leeches, and coupe ticks, they have defined where ODM should go. If you don't like them and whatever, you don't. And then some of them don't even get nominated. They just be given the straight ticket. And my friend Orengo is one of them. He has never, ever won a single election. No. And Yang Nyong has not won a single election.
Yeah, they are governors today.
Yeah, but he won only one.
So what does that mean? How did they get into office?
So what we are trying to say is this.
Yeah.
If the ODM must be the people's party. I must be the representative of the people and not the other way around. ODM started to metamorphose into a KANU. If you have a function somewhere, the ODM official will go around looking for money even from the poor peasant and pick up his chicken. It wasn't the case. It isn't the case. Now, if you go to Kisumu East and we are in some funerals, the ODM officials will come and start making a bit of a ODM, and the people are just looking at them. This is a funeral, for God's sake. So I think that's what we're saying. And I must say, I will say very loudly and clearly, I support Winnie and her vision as may be translated to her by her father. ODM has been a party of the vision of opposition, we don't need to be in opposition, but the vision is there that we must fight for our rights. We have fought for our rights. I don't know, Bwana Owidi, whether you have come umeonja tear gas hapa kidogo. Maybe you have. I started in 1992, 1997. So 2002, we've done this. Even one of my hands has still got that. So what we're saying, we need to be there, and I support her totally.
Okay.
About Grace, please let me finish this. About the chair and the party leaders and whatever, those are by convenience. They've been put there to see that there is some sort of structure, some sort of financing, some sort of support for the party, not on the basis that they are elected. If there was, we would have had another Men in Black situation. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're looking at it from another angle, that ODM has really, since the formation, after the constitution, it has helped us to test the same constitution, because we've had elections. We've gone to the Supreme Court based on the outcome of that. ODM has agitated still, continuously, which could have been argued it was a plus or negative, but it also played a role in advancing our democracy, in testing the same constitution that we gave ourselves as a country, which for me is a plus. But now here we are, with the exiting of the premier of ODM, and you speak of ticks and leeches and chameleons, go something, he had a local word. Yes. And you see, as we are saying even today, the demographics of the country are changing. The concentration on what people want is changing. You look at, Kenya is not at war like you would say, Sudan or Somalia. Kenya is not in a fight for democratic space, like you would say, Tanzania. We are focusing on a different, totally different issue, which is the economic liberation. Now, then you have an ODM here which has advanced so well, but then they're fragmenting. And then the same people whom you're saying are appointing people differently to these positions for convenience will be wanting to go to the election 2027. And yet the people have left the party, as you opine. Today, would we be safe enough to say that it is a new era?
I'm not saying everywhere. I'm just talking about where I know. People have not left the party. We are disappointed by the party. We are disappointed. It might be part and parcel of our DNA, but we are disappointed.
And that disappointment is now becoming actionable. We saw even before Baba left, Babu Owino himself was leaning towards Wiper in a manner of speaking.
As I had said earlier,
right,
even before Baba left, ODM was settling down the wrong road. And that is what was happening. When you see people like Orengo struggling very hard to reinvent the old ODM, it is simply to give them the opportunity to invoke Raila's name in their re-election. You will not re-invoke Raila's name in your re-election if the ODM is not there, if you are in a completely different political formation. So they are struggling to reinvent the old ODM, and they are struggling to preserve it. But it is not going to work. I think James Orengo, in his rush to use that opportunity to reinvent the old ODM, he forgot that you don't take people to the streets before you get the reason. Him is talking about they are ready to go to the streets, but he has not told us the reason why we should go to the streets. Kenyans went to the street to get a new constitution. They did. They went earlier to the streets to get to repeal Section 2A. They did. Once they have also gone to the streets to have certain leaders move from office, they did. But even after that, we now have very strong institutions that can remove a Chief Justice from office, that can remove a DP from office, that can remove an IEBC chair from office. So we do not need to go to the street to have such people removed. Neither do we need to go to the streets to have the constitution amended. So why would Orengo want us to go to the street? He has no reason, but he knows his following have been militant. And I think he has not learned new ideas. This is the person that you talked about in that proverb you mentioned.
Yes.
Yeah. He has not changed with the times. He has not weeded his garden of wisdom and all those things. He's just sitting there waiting to do things as he always done them. But unfortunately, nature took away his pillar of getting done the same way. But in an attempt to reinvent himself, he's trying to reinvent the old ways of ODM. And I can tell him for free, there is no young man that is willing to go to the streets for absolutely nothing the way he thinks.
Indeed.
People would want to go to the streets for very specific things they are unable to achieve through peaceful means.
Owidi, are you saying that there's nothing to fight for that can be fought for in the manner in which it was done before? And if I hear the words that Winnie Odinga spoke, she talked about the fact that ODM was not born in a boardroom or bedroom, right? It was born on the streets, that it was the struggle, it was the fight for independence and freedom from bad governance and bad leadership, and that it was the people's voice. And if anything, that is what needs to be maintained.
Don't you
or
think
fought for. Is there a problem with going back to what that was to fight for? Because those issues that you say people went to the streets for and got still remain in the hearts and minds of Kenyans today. Kenyans want good leadership. Kenyans want education. Kenyans want this, that, the other thing. But then the question is it the ODM party in the way in which it was originally established that is going to fight for them?
Number one, let's say this. Even children born in the battlefield can become priests and live a life without violence and war. Even if ODM was born in the streets, it can now come back and enjoy the fruits of being in the streets. When you use excavators and graders to do a road, they take a rest and let now the Mercedes and the Nissans move on it peacefully. ODM has done its job and has achieved those things. But when you go to the street, you must go for very specific reason that is achievable. By the leader standing up and said, you wanted us to drop the finance bill, we have dropped it. You see, but something that is not achievable, like when you say you want good leaders, how do you go to the streets to achieve good leaders? Good leaders are for you to achieve through the ballot. And I don't think the people in leadership are the ones who will elect or select those good leaders you want.
So you think that ODM having joined what is now the broad-based government is a good thing? That we've been in the streets, we've fought, we've bled, we've sweated, we've cried tears, and now is the time for those things that we fought for to then now be established in government. So you agree with that?
In any case, that is what the law demands, that Kenya becomes inclusive, the government be broad-based. I think it's only because we associate this broad-based with ODM and UDA. But broad-based simply means it is covering the whole of the Republic of Kenya.
No, but it's not. It was this party, it was very specific. This broad-based government brought in ODM into the
ODM.
Kenya Kwanzaa relationship. It was not other parties.
So that is, we are doing it then the wrong way.
Absolutely.
If it is a broad-based
So
government,
then the
it must have
broad-based
relevance.
government
But
is
from-
not broad-based.
But from where I sit, it is broad because I have Joe in that government.
ODM.
So are we talking about political parties or political formations
But
or
that is
regions?
exactly what was done, Bwana Owidi. That regions were not brought in. It was very clear that according to President William Ruto and his team of people,
Yes.
the only way to achieve some kind of peace or equilibrium in the country was to bring in Baba Raila Odinga and his party.
I want you to
The
say
people
either ODM or Baba. Which one do you want to say?
You said earlier that Baba Raila Odinga and ODM
Are one and the
the
same
one and
thing.
the same. So the way to do that was to bring him in.
And even
Did you
Baba
see
was
him
on
forming?
record.
He did not form a broad-based government with Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. He did not do this with Justin Muturi. He did not do this with Eugene Wamalwa. He did it with Raila Odinga. So what we are saying essentially is that to maintain peace and or equilibrium in the country, he needed to have Raila Odinga on his side.
Now, let's look at it this way. Kenya was split into two. We can ignore Wajakoya and Waige Mwaura, Raila Odinga and William Ruto. So to make Kenya broad enough, you bring in Raila Odinga and William Ruto and you have the whole of Kenya. If Kalonzo Musyoka chose not to be part of the broad base, so be it. But I know, even before the broad base was brought in, there were enough people from that area who were already in the government.
Please hear my question. The broad-based government, in the way we look at it, with what you say the Constitution was providing, is actually not answering the question that brought Kenyans to the streets in June 2024.
Yes, correct.
It is not handling, the broad-based government did not
answered
handle
up to
those
date.
issues. The broad-based government appeased an issue on a day for there to be the calming or quelling of certain eruptions. But it did not handle the issues that came out of the finance bill. It did not handle the issues that people are crying about to date. The supposed 10-point agenda that the broad-based government is said to have brought in, not one item on that agenda has been handled. Not one. And it's been a year. So have Kenyans been hoodwinked?
I want you to make the questions very short because we have contributed the
Those
whole
are
length.
three. Those are three. Those are three.
Let me respond to it because if you come in again, by the time you stop, I'll have forgotten the things you are saying.
Go ahead.
Because when you people say that the things that took people to the streets were not solved by the broad-based government, actually, the broad-based Raila Odinga was roped into this because it was now very clear that this thing was not about what people demanded. These things were about people wanting the regime to collapse. Why do I say so? When we went to the street for the very first time, it was to amend.
Owidi,
I'm talking on behalf of Kenya.
Let's be frank. You've never been on the street. You've always been on the other side. When you see tear gas, unatoroka sana. And so let's not talk about we go to the street. Talk about ODM going to the street.
I don't think ODM went to the streets. The people who went to the streets went to the streets and ODM came in on the side of the government. But let's look at it this way. I want you to let me complete this sentence.
Right. Go
Because
ahead.
what I am telling you, it was clear that the reason for people were going to the streets was now not the reasons they were telling us. Because they told us we want the finance bill amended. When it was amended, they want it fully dropped. When it is dropped, they wanted Ruto must go.
Did you hear Kimani Ichung'wah say?
Yes.
Did you hear Kimani Ichung'wah say this year that everything that was in that finance bill
Yes.
found
Yes.
its way back into legislation in
Exactly, and I
Kenya?
90%.
sit in the and I sit there. No, this finance bill, 2024. They were now bragging that everything that was in the finance bill 2024 is being brought in. I have been sitting next to my friend Buddy for about 13 years. 13 plus years, next to him. As we moved into the senior ranks, we were together.
And now, that is why I want to tell you.
Can I please finish, my brother, if you don't mind?
Yeah, go ahead.
When in the Finance Act 2024, we were complaining about it, I remember that even at the third reading, we were completely opposed to it. I came up with a banner and I stood up And I had 4 banners ready. One for Buddy, one for Millie, one for the other people who are next to me. Yeah? And I said, listen, let's do this. You know what Buddy told me? No. We don't do this. We'll be thrown out of the house, and B, we have to look for the future. I was just shocked. I said, okay, nita fine to mwenyewe. So this Finance Act of 2025 is back. Buddy is a very nice man. Buddy is an accountant. So they call him expert. Now that's fine. I have great faith in our Ministry of the Economists in the Ministry of Finance. The situation here is this, that these 2 or 4, let's talk about them, they went to speak to Ruto before they had cleared with Baba. That is a fact, whether you can deny it or not. Although President Ruto, and I respect him from that, did say that he spoke to Baba, it was a post-event. When the ODM so-called rebels were called to State House, I was called separately. And when I got there, I found them there. And when I spoke to the president, I said, Your Excellency, I have come here with the power of the people. These guys have not come here with the approval of the party leader. So that's where we are going. We were splitting. There has been rebels, they were splitting. They wanted to be thrown out of the party, did not get thrown out. Then suddenly they are now saying that we were the ones who carried your first thing in. So, coming back to the issue of ODM, and coming back, this is a party that we do not want to break up. And I think Odoyo Owidi is a firm pair of hands for a time being. For the time being, and I hope he understands that.
So can I continue answering the question that I was asking? Because you have not given me the chance to answer the many issues he raised.
As you do, Owido. Let us go back to 2022 before the president became the president. He was a deputy then.
Yeah.
At some point in London, he said that the government, we have a mongrel of a government because the opposition had joined the government and the government had joined the opposition. Meaning that there had been compromises that were made. And clearly they were all geared towards 2022 election. Are we not playing the same scenario whereby you see an opposition completely?
I would like to answer that question too, but could you wait until I answer this, then you bring it later?
Well,
combine
let's
both.
go. Let's go ahead. Let's combine them.
Leave here unanswered.
Okay,
Combine
let's go.
both. Go ahead.
I explained to you that it became very clear that the anti-finance bill was not just an anti-finance protest. It was a protest to bring down that government. Because what he's saying, he thinks it's not a challenge. It is evidence that actually finance bill was not the problem, because when it came back, when people had forgotten what they really went to sit for, they didn't even notice it.
Noticed it.
Please, let me just talk. I don't want people to talk when I'm talking.
Parliament. We noticed it, and we were forced.
Then what happened?
Many people did not.
What
vote
happened
for
if
it.
you noticed it?
We did not. I don't vote for it.
Anyway, so let me proceed. So that is what is happening. These people were not on the streets. If you listen, I don't know whether you listened to what happened in Limuru 3, what was spoken there. The Gen Zs were roped into this thing because they are a generation which do not have the benefit of history.
By who? Roped in by who?
They do not know. They do not know that when Uhuru Kenyatta took power, the budget was 1.6 trillion. The next budget he read, which included a lot of tax increases, was 1.85. And nobody made noise.
But they did.
Why was there noise here? There was noise here because the presidency had changed into somebody else.
They made elsewhere. This is Gen Z.
Okay,
Sabir,
let's keep this
Sabir,
clear so we can...
it is sensible to keep quiet. When I finish, you come, because we are not running away from here.
Well, as you
don't interrupt when I'm talking. Two people you can't hear.
Okay,
as
let's
you make
keep
your
this clear.
submission,
Yes.
Yeah.
The Gen Zs can hear you.
They can hear me.
They can hear you.
They can hear me.
Proceed.
Yeah, because, Gen Zs have no benefit of history. They do not know what was happening before. So if you bring for them this, they evaluate it as if it is a fresh thing. In this country, people told us that President William Ruto wanted to sell the airport through Adani because Adani was coming for a PPP project. But the same people have no idea which organization did the expressway. They have no idea which organization did the SGR. It is because the person now doing the airport is not one of their own. This is the truth in this country that will never go away.
Oh, Owidi, you make it seem as though Kenyans do not reserve the right to want better for their nation.
Do.
That any time a voice rises in protest, it must be sponsored by somebody else, because you keep referring to they wanted to bring down the government. You make it seem like Kenyans don't reserve the right to speak up for something better. Why would you connect that to them being sponsored by somebody else?
They do.
Father,
let me tell you, this country, if you don't remind people that something is going there wrong, they will not even notice it. Some people must come out and push others to the street. It took Raila Odinga to send people to the street that, oh, this is a problem, go to the streets. This is a problem, go to the... That is how it happens. Even the Gen Z uprising, there are people behind it. That explains what...
Do you understand why the Kenyans never listened to the former President Uhuru on his call to vote for one right honorable Raila Odinga? Because of the issues you mentioned, the SGR and the expressway. People were very in tandem with the corruption that had prevailed. That's why people wanted something different.
I think you are confusing Kenyans for the mountain. The people who didn't vote for Raila was the mountain. Do you know the difference between Raila and Ruto was 200,000 votes?
I do.
So Kenyans voted for Raila. The people who didn't vote for him are Uhuru's people, because Uhuru wanted to remain in power.
He couldn't have
prime minister.
What the Constitution does not have.
So let me complete it so that you understand it. Uhuru wanted to remain in power by being the prime minister of Kenya, who was going to appoint the cabinet through the BBI. When the BBI failed, Uhuru stopped supporting Raila. Did he take Raila to the mountain? No, because BBI had collapsed. Through BBI, there were 70 new seats that were going to elect Uhuru as an executive prime minister to form government as Raila becomes a non-executive president.
So what forms your belief now that because of that, there was an extension of this protest through the Gen Z that was coming from Uhuru Kenyatta? Is this what you're saying?
Uhuru Kenyatta is you who have said. I have not said Uhuru Kenyatta.
You mentioned Uhuru Kenyatta just now. You said...
but I didn't stop. You are the one linking Gen Zs to Uhuru Kenyatta.
So I'm asking you the question very clearly.
And make it clear, one sentence.
Why would you imagine that Kenyans don't want a better Kenya and that somebody else has to sponsor their move?
They want a better Kenya, but somebody has to provide that leadership. They will never go to the street on their own. They never go.
They did.
They went to the streets on their own.
Yes.
My friend, Rigathi Gachagua told us, they have no leadership, they had no party, they had no tribe. Where did he get that from if he was not a Gen Z? He is the one behind all of this.
He was in government.
And they said all these things there. Listen to that thing, is on internet still now.
Rigathi Gachagua was the deputy president of Kenya during the Gen Z protest.
I went with Rigathi Gachagua to Kisii. The president is speaking and he's sitting in the car. He's given a microphone, speaks, and returns to the car. And when he speaks exactly opposite what
I think we need to be clear at this point that these are the assertions. I think we need to be clear at this point that these are the assertions of one Odoyo Owidi.
Of course.
And I would like to then give over to you, Shabir.
Okay. Now, you see, Owidi, you cannot put your head in the sand like an ostrich. The Gen Zs are in Nepal, they're in Bangladesh, they were in Indonesia, Madagascar.
Yes.
They are tired of corruption. They are tired of the cost of living. They are tired of the way that they're being taken for granted. Call them Gen Z, and they are intelligent people. Their history they may not understand the history that you want them to understand, like the British wanted us to understand. But they are aware, and they know that, and even their parents, that they know that they have not eaten that day. And you were told that Gen Zs are going around with iPhones and whatever. That was like when you want to discredit someone, you want to destroy something, you discredit them. That Gen Zs are here. They went to Tanzania. They're in Uganda. Kenya, it has been poured kidogo because Baba was there and we have sorted it out for a town, but it is still boiling underneath. And 2027 is going to be the day. All we're here to discuss is where is ODM. I am 100% loyal and have been to Raila Odinga. I have known the family for nearly 35 years. But the fact of the issue is ODM is a national party. Go into the internet and find out which is the top 3 parties in Africa. ANC, ODM, CCM now, I don't know whether it's going to go down. But those are the 3 parties which were built on the principle of the people. And if you look at all these issues, I have done my doctorate in leadership. And I can assure you of one thing. Political parties are rooted in the idea of institutionalization, to facilitate the diversity of the idea. They act as a crucial link between the citizen and others. They are there for the citizen. Winnie has said nothing wrong. She has not attacked Wanga. I know Wanga is a junior MP to me, but I have sat with her. She was the chair of finance. And she has capacity and she has intelligence. And she is in Homa Bay. Let her show what she can do in Homa Bay before we go otherwise. This issue of deputy president, etc., having a demand, it's not there. It's going to break up the party. And our president is a very intelligent, a person who plans himself 5 years from now. Whether he took these people on a private capacity, whatever, it was good for him at that time. How he plays this issue, and I was there at the foundation dinner, how he plays it now is going to define 2027. If he allows ODM to break, he may feel that it's going to help him, but it is not. And ODM, you see, the way I heard our Mombasa in Mombasa, the governor and others, and Joho used to completely say even he will die before he ever supports Ruto. He said that, but he's not dead. He's not dead. So you see, Badi now is the greatest sycophant that I've ever seen. Mo used to say that you blow a balloon, and it blows and blows, the head blows very big, and it only needs a pin
to deflate.
Badi is an accountant like me. Badi is a member of the accountants in Kenya. I'm a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants in Britain. So there's no great difference. I mean, Kimunya was a great accountant, well-known, number 1 everywhere. He wasn't able to make that difference because the executive runs the finance. Executive runs. So when the president says that very proud of my brother Buddy, it's because Buddy is doing everything he wants to do. Everything. To the extent that they're saying this and that and whatever. The other day I was in Mombasa and people were complaining. The Mombasa government has financed and taken over the whole of White Sands Hotel. Whole of White Sands. Yet the people, I was passing there, they was flooded with sewage. So I think people need to be part and parcel of the development. And when they put a person up there, he should not say, do as I do. Do as I say.
They should
Don't do as I do. Do as I say. That is not ODM's way.
Right. Now,
so I must support ODM as an existing party, although I left ODM.
Yes.
My heart is still with the original concept. I have lost a friend and a brother and somebody has brought me up. I've heard other people that calling themselves orphans and chairman of orphans. Are they going to now find a father in Ruto?
Good question. And now it appears that now the ties that once bound ODM together are losing.
I want to finish one thing. You know, my brother Junet, a very capable young man, but sometimes he loses direction. He used to say that we all Baba's cows. Not ODM's cows. Baba's cows. No, Baba is gone.
So where does the herd?
Where did the herd go?
That
Is
would
it
be
going
interesting
to the
to see.
butcher? Is it going to the butchery?
That's a good question. Is it going to the butcher? So it appears the ties that once bound UDM together are loosening. It appears the dalliance between the president and the ODM is becoming interesting. I think we wait to see how this develops. But I do hope that we can get to a situation whereby we put away all the side shows and the personalities and focus exactly how do you host an event when there is no sewer spillage? How do you host an event
40
where
days have not passed.
where there can be political tolerance so that we can have divergence of opinions and build a better country?
40 days
Because
have
it
not
does
passed.
seem as if
40
here-
days. 40 days. For me, I didn't want to go. It is 40 days, even Muslims and also in the Luo tradition. Let him. What is wrong with it? Doing it 10 days later.
Let's quickly wrap this up with Owidi. Also necessary for us to understand that the voice of the people that seems to have come out quite some, and it still continues to resonate in the minds of many. That the voice of the people, the care of the people, the livelihoods of Kenyans that must be secured during with good governance seems to never make it to the front lines of this conversation. When are we going to move from this political shenanigans and actually focus on what good governance and constitutionalism demands?
Now, in the last 3 months or 6, what is wrong with the government that you would like to be done differently? What is this government doing that you
I don't think we have enough time to do the list.
You should come back.
You should come back for an hour when we can discuss that.
But whenever you are talking to me about what is wrong with this government, you must compare it with the past. Because if it is not compared, then we know it is the normal way of doing things, but some people think the current president does not deserve that seat.
Perhaps our failure, and I can confess to this, is that we compare.
And if we have failed drastically before, we must get out of that failure.
This is what I'm saying. Our failure, perhaps, is in comparing the government and the undoing of the government with what the Constitution provides and the ideals that we hold for this country. We cannot keep going back to the past. We are walking away from every past regime.
The past.
If we keep saying that a former president is better than the current president, it means we are doing zero work. We have to live to the ideals of ourselves as a Kenyans and the Constitution. We cannot keep on borrowing from the past. We have to invest in the future that we want and build towards that.
And let me tell you, my brother.
Right.
When there is a person in the house and you want to remove it to put a new one, the new one you want to put in must stand there for scrutiny. And the people standing out there who are waiting to remove to replace President William Ruto, who are they? Are they Rigathi Gachagua?
You don't seem to like Rigathi Gachagua.
Are they Kalonzo Musyoka?
We have so
have
many.
had those people here over these years.
Yes.
And we needed to compare those people, not when one is in the field. President William Ruto is like a player in the field. You can't compare it with a player sitting on the bench because a player sitting on the bench is incapable of committing any offense in the field.
For once, I agree with you. I agree with you.
So
those people.
You put Kalonzo there. We were there with him when
Right.
Ruto was taking power and he did not qualify. You put Matiang'i there, the very man who disobeyed 12 court orders in 3 years.
Yes.
So there's nobody better. In elections, you have 10 people, you take the better of them.
I agree with you that the lot you have mentioned is not an option. That's why Kenyans are saying we are going to Fagia Wote, make a new beginning for the country.
So bring the cleaner.
So the cleaner ones, it's not here. We are not voting today. We have a whole year to scrutinize and analyze.
2 years.
2 years. It depends. The Supreme Court might favor us and bring it to next year. We see, because it talks about the 5th year. That's a constitutional debate we could have another day. But whatever time, whether 1 year or 2 years, we must agree as Kenyans that we deserve better.
Indeed.
And we cannot keep on recycling. We have to start afresh.
Beautiful wrap up. And our time.
Owidi is not an ODM man. I am not an ODM man. I'm independent, but he's clearly UDA. And he's clearly said that. And he's been very, very critical in the past of Raila Odinga. And he's been very critical about ODM and everything else to do with it. that is his right.
It is clear,
It's
also
his
because our
right.
time is running out and we've gone over. But if anything remains clear at this point from this conversation, just as Joe has said this morning, is that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. A big broom is needed in all of the corners, because if the rhetoric of politics still centers around individuals and not issues,
That's
we've got a
correct.
long way to go.
That's right.
The Honourable Shakil Shabir is the Member of Parliament for Kisumu East, has been here with us this morning. Odoyo Owidi, political and policy analyst. Asante sana to you both for being here. It's 5 minutes after 8. The conversation continues after this. Good morning.
Thank you. Asante.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
In a world drowning in half-truths, in whispers that masquerade as facts,